There is a paste sitting on a hardware store shelf right now, priced at less than $1 per use, that will seal a leaking pipe in your home permanently. No plumber, no soldering torch, no tearing open your walls, no $500 emergency service call at 2 in the morning. This paste was developed during World War II. It was used on the Ranger moon missions by NASA in the 1960s. It has been deployed on nuclear power stations, oil rigs, naval vessels, and water treatment plants on 6 continents. And the $191 billion American plumbing industry has spent decades making sure you would never think to reach for it. Not because it is dangerous, not because it failed, because it works. Because a $4 tube of paste that seals a leaking pipe in 20 minutes cannot sustain a $500 service call. And what cannot sustain a service call cannot sustain an industry. Welcome to the channel. If these stories matter to you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This is where we dig up what the service industry buried. Now let me show you where this paste came from. The year is 1936. Two chemists working independently, Dr. Pierre Castan in Switzerland and Dr. S.O. Greenlee in the United States, synthesized the first bisphenol A-based epoxy resins. They are looking for industrial adhesives stronger than anything on the market. What they find is a compound that bonds to virtually any surface, hardens to the density of steel, and resists water, heat, and chemical corrosion simultaneously. By the early 1940s, the chemistry is refined for commercial production. Cybolid of Switzerland licenses Castan's formulation. The timing is not accidental. The world is at war. The military needs a field repair compound that can seal cracked fuel lines, patch hull breaches, and restore damaged equipment without a machine shop. Epoxy delivers all three. By 1943, the same year General Electric's lab produces bouncing silicone putty for the rubber shortage, epoxy resins are being tested across every branch of the Allied military. The U.S. Navy uses them to seal pipe joints on destroyers. The Army Corps of Engineers uses them on portable water systems and forward operating bases. And by the mid-1960s, a South African inventor named George Montague Prattley creates the first consumer-grade epoxy putty stick. It is called Prattley Putty. It becomes the only South African product ever sent to the moon, aboard the Ranger spacecraft, to secure instruments against the vibration of launch. Read that again. A paste sent to the moon, to hold things together in the vacuum of space. And 60 years later, your plumber is telling you the only way to fix a dripping joint under your kitchen sink is a $500 house call. Here's how this paste actually works, and why the plumbing industry cannot afford for you to understand it. Epoxy putty is a two-part compound. One part is a resin. The other is a hardener. When you knead them together, a chemical reaction called an exothermic polymerization begins. The molecules cross-link into a thermoset polymer, a material that, once hardened, cannot be melted, softened, or reversed. Not by heat, not by water, not by time. A 2017 analysis published by the Pollution Prevention Resource Center confirmed that epoxy-lined pipe repairs showed no widespread health concerns and extended the functional lifespan of aging pipes by decades. The bonding strength of a standard consumer-grade epoxy putty like JB Weld Water Weld is rated at 370 psi. It withstands water pressure up to 500 psi and temperatures up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. To put that in perspective, your home's water system operates at roughly 40 to 80 psi. This paste is rated for 6 times the maximum pressure your pipes will ever see. Think about that. A paste that costs less than a cup of coffee can withstand 6 times the pressure inside your walls. And yet no plumber has ever mentioned it to you. Not once. Not ever. There is a reason for that. This video is just the beginning. I have spent months compiling every suppressed repair technique the service industry does not want on your radar. The complete vault includes the 4-cent sealant the U.S. military uses to waterproof field shelters, the 2-ingredient formula that stops concrete foundation cracks permanently, the $3 compound that eliminates pipe corrosion buildup without chemicals, and the one repair method that European municipalities have used since the 1990s that American building codes still refuse to acknowledge. The link to the vault is in the description. But stay right here, because the financial picture behind this is worse than the paste itself. The U.S. plumbing industry generates $191.4 billion in annual revenue. There are approximately 132,000 plumbing businesses operating in the United States. The average pipe leak repair costs a homeowner between $150 and $4,700. For a leak behind a wall, that number jumps to $500 to $5,000, and that does not include the drywall repair afterward. Now consider this. A 2-ounce tube of JB Weld Water Weld retails for $5.49. A superfast steel epoxy putty stick, the industrial-grade version used on oil rigs and water treatment facilities, sells for under $15. Both seal the same leak. Both bond to the same pipe. The markup is not 100%. It is not 500%. It is between 3,000 and 90,000% depending on the repair. And that is before the plumber charges you a $50 to $200 diagnostic fee just to look at your pipe. You cannot patent epoxy putty. The core chemistry has been public domain since the 1950s. You cannot build a subscription model around a $5 tube that lasts for years in your toolbox. You cannot create a recurring revenue stream from a paste that fixes the problem once and never needs replacing. And what cannot be patented, branded, or subscribed to cannot generate quarterly earnings. If you have made it this far, you already know more about pipe repair than 99% of homeowners in America. Subscribe and share this with someone who is still paying $500 for a house call every time a joint drips. Everything the plumbing industry buried is in the vault. The link is in the description. Now here is the part they really do not want you to hear. Plumbing codes in most U.S. states do not explicitly ban epoxy putty, but they do not endorse it either. The solution exists in a regulatory gray zone, technically legal for homeowner use on your own property, but conspicuously absent from any list of approved permanent repair methods in professional plumbing manuals. Meanwhile, the plumbing industry spends heavily on marketing and trade lobbying to ensure that when a pipe leaks, your first instinct is to call a professional, not to walk into a hardware store. The International Association of Plumbing and Mechanical Officials, the organization that writes the codes your local inspector enforces, receives significant funding from plumbing manufacturers and trade associations. Follow the money from the regulation back to the boardroom. The code does not exist to protect you. It exists to protect the call. Here is exactly how to seal a leaking pipe with epoxy putty. No experience required. No special tools. Total cost under $6. Step 1. Turn off the water supply valve nearest to the leaking pipe. Open a faucet downstream to drain remaining water from the line. Step 2. Locate the leak. Press a dry paper towel against the pipe and inspect for damp spots. Mark the area with a pencil or tape. Step 3. Clean the pipe surface around the leak. Use 120 grit sandpaper to lightly scuff a 2-inch radius around the damaged area. Wipe away dust with a dry cloth. This roughened surface gives the epoxy maximum adhesion. Step 4. Cut a 1-inch section from your epoxy putty stick. Knead it between your fingers for 60 seconds until the two colors blend into a single uniform shade. When the color is consistent, the chemical reaction has activated. You now have approximately 5 to 10 minutes of working time. Step 5. Press the putty firmly around the damaged section of pipe. Work it into the crack or hole. Extend the putty at least 1 inch past the damaged area on all sides. Smooth the surface with a damp finger or cloth. Step 6. Wait 60 minutes before turning the water supply back on. The putty will be functionally cured and pressure resistant. Full chemical cure occurs at 24 hours. After that, the seal can be sanded, drilled, tapped, filed, or painted. The visual cue to watch for: within the first 5 minutes, you will feel the putty begin to stiffen under your fingers. That is the exothermic reaction generating heat as the polymer chains crosslink. When it resists further shaping, the bond is setting. Walk away and let chemistry do the rest. Optional enhancement: for maximum strength on high-pressure lines, overwrap the cured putty with a fiberglass pipe repair bandage. This adds an impact-resistant shell rated for pressures exceeding 30 bar. Total additional cost under $10. I need to be honest with you about one thing. Epoxy putty is not a magic solution for every plumbing failure. If your pipe has a long lateral crack from structural settling, or if you are dealing with widespread corrosion across an entire section of pipe, the putty will seal the visible damage but will not stop the corrosion from continuing beneath the surface. If your main sewer line has collapsed, or if tree roots have invaded your drainage system, call a professional. Those are infrastructure failures, not surface leaks. But here is what the plumbing industry will never tell you. The vast majority of residential pipe leaks, the pinhole leaks, the dripping joints, the corroded fittings, the hairline cracks at elbows, are exactly what epoxy putty was engineered for. 80% of the service calls that generate $500 invoices are fixable with a $5 tube and 20 minutes of your Saturday morning. A homeowner in East Texas received a quote for $1,800 to repair a corroded joint on a galvanized pipe under her bathroom sink. The plumber told her the entire section of pipe needed replacing, which would require opening the wall. She spent $549 on a tube of water-weld epoxy putty. She sanded the joint. She kneaded the putty. She pressed it around the connection and waited 1 hour. She turned the water back on. That was 14 months ago. 0 leaks. 0 drips. 0 follow-up. She saved $1,794.51, and the plumber never called to check in. Your grandfather knew how to fix a pipe. His generation did not call a corporation every time a joint wept. They walked to the hardware store. They bought the paste. They fixed it with their hands. and they moved on with their day. That knowledge did not disappear on its own. It was pushed out by advertising, by code complexity, by a service industry that understood one fundamental truth. A homeowner who can fix their own pipe is a homeowner who will never call. Epoxy putty did not change. The chemistry is the same compound Castan synthesized in 1936, the same material Prattley sent to the moon, the same paste the Navy uses to seal joints on a destroyer in open ocean. It did not fail. It did not become obsolete. It was buried under service contracts, under emergency call-out fees, under a $191 billion industry that profits every single time your pipe drips, and your first instinct is to reach for your phone instead of your toolbox. But the paste is still there, still sitting on that shelf, still 5, still waiting for you right now. If this video changed how you think about home repair, subscribe and share it with someone who just paid $500 for a plumber to fix a dripping joint. Every share puts this knowledge back where it belongs, in your hands, not behind a service paywall. The next vault opens soon, and what they buried this time goes even deeper.